Okay, Ramon, your package has arrived, so we're going to get you opened up and have a look. Okay, there we are. Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's have a close look. Alright. Oh, very nice. Wow. Yeah. Well, no fears with this one. This one is as real as they get and as nice as they come. Wow. That's a lovely watch. Very nice. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about this one. That's a great watch. Okay, well, let's dig in a little bit more deeply. Let's see here. You're on a Uncle Seiko tire tread style band. Condition-wise, the case is very clean. No polishing on the case, of course. Let's see, your crown locks perfectly. Case back has a few little minor tool marks from people trying to get into the back a bit. So this is a 1976 6105 8119, which is a Willard, of course. Yeah, so you have the correct sweep hand. This is a later, shorter sweep, so it's not the long sweep like the early 70s. Your hand loom is a little gray, but you know, that's okay. It's considering its age, it probably has, you know, the original seal and the crown, of course, all of them do at this point, unless they've been rebuilt. And I'm sure the case back seal is doing its job, but it's usually the crown seal that's the real trouble. You know, your second hand, your sweep hand, is a little bright considering your hand loom. It is correct. It's a correct Seiko stop sign, you know, stoplight sweep hand. Excuse me. But it is, of course, a bit, you know, it's just one of those consistency things. You know, you look for all of the age and the patina on the loom to be identical. It looks a lot more like your dial than your hands. I'd put it that way. And usually what happens with condensation is that the moisture accumulates in the center stack and sort of works its way out through the hands. That's why you see a little bit more of the darkness here by the center of the hand rather than out by the end, but there is still some out here. And usually it goes, you know, sweep, minute, hour is the progression of loss of loom quality. And sometimes it make it out to here because it just drips, and condensation, you know, of course, has the issues with all water is that capillary forces pull it along edges and things, and it makes its way out towards the end. But all that being said, it is an original hand. It's a correct hand, and it just doesn't have as things go. It's not quite the same as the other hands, but it's correct. Your bezel is tight, but that's okay. Tight is not bad. So let's have a look inside. I think cosmetically it's a home run. It's a beautiful watch. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the movement and see if I can get the case back off, if it's going to be agreeable or if it's going to need a little persuasion. yeah, it'll need a little bit of extra oomph to get that off. Give me one moment, I'll take it. Okay, so I've got the case back loosened. Let's go ahead and take it off together and have a look and see what we've got underneath. Oh, very clean. Wow, with quite a bit of script in the back. Lots of numbers, but certainly not anything I can fully recognize. There's a stamped number, which is generally Seiko service, but they usually look a little different. They usually have a circle with some other text. But, a stamped number is interesting. It looks consistent in the sense that there's sort of one writing style. Not that I'm a handwriting expert, but it looks to me as though perhaps the same person worked on this watch through time and was cataloging their work as they continued, in a sense that it's not scribed in, it's pencil or like marked in. And I will leave this in the back just for the consistency of making sure that we don't remove the history of the process of this watch's life. But I don't know what any of the numbers mean. So it could have been last week, it could have been, well, I know it's not last week, but it could have been last year, it could have been 10 years ago. It's just unclear. It could have been 20 years ago. I just don't know. The thing about it is the movement itself is extremely clean. It's really good. So that's really nice to see. I don't know if there's any, let's see if there's any capsule lubrication. Yes, there appears to be some. And that's always a good sign. It's a good sign for you, for sure, that this movement has been serviced. Let's do our thing. Let's add some juice. Let's get that spring wound up tight till we get some resistance. Okay. That seems to be about as much as it'll take. So it'll take infinite amount of turns, but it seems like it's in the right spot for being fully powered. You have a case back seal that's still pliable, which is always encouraging. I would, of course, always recommend, just replacing. It's not worth it to have an older one. That's one thing for sure. I may not always recommend service, but I do always recommend seals are good. Your crown seal, though, is probably one of those things that hasn't been redone. Okay, so let's put it on the time grapher and see what the current state is. We'll be back. Okay, Ramon. Well, this looks really nice. It's one of those situations. This is a serviced watch. I mean, we always strive to get somewhere above 230, but sometimes that's just where the watches lie. They're in the 220s, mid 220s. Sometimes they're in this range and they're good. It has lubrication. The watch has some lubrication in the cap jewel. It's consistent with a watch that was probably serviced a while ago and has perhaps sat a little bit. Although there are good numbers here. This is really nice. It's a judgment call at this point. Do you want me to forego the service? I can do that. That's not a problem. I don't mind. Sending you a watch back that is in good shape. I'm not going to send you a watch or work on a watch that doesn't need to be worked on. And it's, in my professional opinion, not that I'm a professional at anything, that this is a watch that's in good shape. There are things, of course, the crown, it's a mystery. I don't know if it's ever been rebuilt. I haven't looked at it yet, so that's a judgment call. But the movement, it's running very well. This is good. This is what I would expect some watches to be at, and especially the 6105 movements. In particular, it takes a little extra effort to get them over 230 to 240. They're just a little bit, they're not a heavily jeweled movement. They were never something that was considered to be a performance, chronometer style movement. They're sort of the lowest end of the Seiko line in that respect. They have more bushings in the main, plate than they do jewels. So again, a judgment call. This is a good watch. It's in great shape. So let's get back to the bench and we'll check your crown. Okay, we're back. So let's take a look at your crown. I've got it pulled out here. Yeah. So what there is underneath of this washer, which I can remove and then reinstall mechanically, is a O-ring. And if it were new, my tweezer end would act more like this surface than a hard surface. And I can show you what those, I have one here that I took out of a watch that I own and I kept. That's what that should, you can see, it's very stiff. And the thing I replace it with is that. So let's do a comparison. This, squeeze. This, squeeze. And you can see, of course, that this is a donut. That's in good shape. And this is a hard piece of plastic. That's in not doing much work shape. So the hole here, and they're all like this because this has to fit over your stem tube. They're the size of the stem tube at this point, and there's no sealing happening. Whereas this has to be pushed on and is an O-ring, just like any other O-ring would. So that's the issue with your crown. But they're all like that. Every one of these is that. And even if you get a new old stock crown to try and put on, it's still not going to do any job of sealing. So we'll see. So we're going to leave it at this. You let me know what you'd like to do, and I can move forward in any way you want. I can send you back the watch. I can start a service. I can do the things you need me to do for you to have peace of mind. Okay. Thanks, Ramon. I'll be in touch, and we'll chat.